Prince Harry appeared visibly emotional this week in Los Angeles as he stood shoulder to shoulder with British families who say they lost their children after harmful experiences on social media. It was not a grand royal event. It was not a red carpet. It was not a headline-seeking moment. It was a low-key, deeply human gathering centered on grief, accountability, and the protection of children. And what we saw was not a prince performing. We saw a father. We saw a man who understands loss. We saw someone who has lived through public battles against powerful institutions and knows what it feels like to sit in a room where truth feels outnumbered. During the gathering, Harry told the bereaved parents something that struck at the heart of the tragedy. He said, "None of you should be here." Think about that. None of you should be here. No parent should have to bury a child. No family should have to sit in courtrooms fighting billion-dollar corporations just to have their child's life valued. His words were simple, but they carried the weight of shared pain. He thanked them for telling their stories over and over again. That line matters. Because telling those stories is not easy. It means reopening wounds. It means reliving trauma. It means hearing defense teams question your child's experience. It means sitting across from lawyers who argue technicalities while you remember birthdays that will never come again. Harry acknowledged the emotional toll of being in court and hearing what he described as the lies that devalue life and devalue children's lives. He told the parents that if overwhelming emotion rises up inside them while listening to those arguments, it is normal. He told them not to feel ashamed. He told them not to feel concerned, even if a judge asks them to remain composed. That is empathy. That is advocacy, rooted in understanding. This landmark jury trial in Los Angeles will examine whether tech giants like Meta, Instagram and YouTube cause damage to young people's health. It is being described as a David versus Goliath situation. And that description did not come from commentators. It came from Harry himself. He knows something about David versus Goliath. He has fought powerful media institutions. He has challenged systems that many people believed were untouchable. And here he was, recognizing that these families are facing corporations with immense resources, legal teams, and global influence. One of the parents present was Ellen Room, who claims her 14-year-old son, Jules Sweeney, died after an online challenge went wrong. Her words were heartbreaking but powerful. She said, "We cannot make a difference for our children, but we can make a difference for other people's children." That is the spirit driving this case. It is not revenge, it is reform. It is not about headlines, it is about safeguards. At the same time, Harry and Meghan released a statement about accountability and children's safety online. They called this week a pivotal moment. And it truly is. For years, families have raised concerns about algorithm-driven content, about cyberbullying, about addictive design features that keep children scrolling long after it stops being healthy. The Sussexes recognised that families devastated by online harm have waited too long for this moment. They pointed to their growing community, the Parents Network, made up of families who have lived through horrific consequences linked to online platforms. These families, along with whistleblowers, have said for years that engagement and profit were prioritized over safety. That is a serious allegation, and it is one that deserves to be examined in courtrooms, not dismissed in press statements. Harry and Meghan specifically highlighted manipulative algorithms built with profits, not child safety, as the priority. Let us sit with that. Algorithms designed to maximize engagement, to keep users scrolling, To serve content that triggers strong reactions because strong reactions equal more time on platform. More time equals more data equals more revenue. But what happens when the users are children? What happens when developing minds are exposed to harmful challenges, extreme content, or relentless comparison culture? What happens when cyberbullying is amplified instead of curbed? What happens when vulnerable teens are pulled deeper into dark corners of the internet because the system recognizes that certain content keeps them engaged? This trial is set to examine how platforms may have been designed in ways that addict children. That word addict is not used lightly. Addiction implies intentional design patterns that hook users. Endless scrolling. Notifications engineered to trigger dopamine responses. Recommendation systems that learn your weaknesses and feed them back to you. And while companies often argue that they provide tools and parental controls, the question being asked here is bigger. Did they know about the harm? Did internal research show risks to young users? And if so, what did they do about it? Harry and Meghan have long campaigned for safer digital spaces. This is not a sudden interest. Through their foundation and through the Parents' Network, they have listened to families. They have amplified whistleblowers. They have advocated for policy changes across countries. In their statement, they mentioned that no single country's law solves a global problem. That is crucial. The internet does not stop at borders. A child in London can access the same platform as a child in Los Angeles or Nairobi. If one country strengthens safeguards but others do not, harmful content can still circulate. They also referenced efforts in Spain, Australia and France to address online safety. This is a global conversation. Governments are beginning to recognize that digital platforms are not just neutral spaces. They are powerful systems shaping behavior, shaping self-image, and in some cases, shaping mental health outcomes. The Sussexes urge governments to put safeguards in place, not only expecting companies to regulate themselves, but recognizing a broader duty to human rights and safety. That language matters. Human rights. Safety. This is not framed as a culture war, it is framed as a rights issue. And let us be clear. Supporting accountability does not mean opposing technology. It does not mean rejecting social media entirely. It means asking hard questions about responsibility. It means ensuring that innovation does not come at the expense of children's well-being. What stood out most about Harry's appearance was the sincerity. He did not center himself. He did not dominate the room. He listened, he validated, he reminded these parents that their emotional reactions are normal, that their grief is justified, that their fight matters. When he said truth, justice and accountability are the three things that will come from this, it was not blind optimism. It was a call to perseverance. Trials can be long. They can be draining, they can bring up painful evidence, but they can also create change. For years, critics have tried to reduce Harry and Meghan's advocacy to publicity seeking. Yet moments like this contradict that narrative. There was no glamorous backdrop. There was no spectacle. There were grieving parents and a prince who understands that loss leaves a permanent mark. As a father of two young children, Archie and Lilibet, this issue is personal. Every parent looks at their child and hopes the world will be safe enough for them to grow, explore and connect. In today's world, that includes digital spaces. The playground is no longer just physical, it is virtual. And if that virtual playground contains hidden traps, exploitative design or unchecked harassment, then yes, accountability is necessary. Ellen Room's statement about making a difference for other people's children encapsulates the bravery at the centre of this case. These parents are not just plaintiffs, they are advocates. They are using their unimaginable loss to try to prevent another family from experiencing the same pain. The Sussexes concluded their statement by inviting the public to support these families who have paid the ultimate cost, yet still stand strong and ready to fight for the rights of other families. That invitation extends to all of us. Awareness matters, pressure matters. Policy change often begins with public engagement. This is a pivotal moment, not because of celebrity involvement, but because of legal examination. A jury trial brings evidence into the open. It allows documents to be scrutinized. It forces companies to respond under oath. It creates a public record. If platforms are found to have prioritized profit over child safety, that finding could reshape industry standards. It could lead to stronger regulations. It could influence how algorithms are designed in the future. It could prompt more transparency about internal research. And if companies are cleared, the conversation about safety will still not disappear. Because the stories of these families will continue to resonate. The digital world is evolving rapidly. Law and ethics must evolve with it. Prince Harry's emotional presence was a reminder that leadership is not always about power. Sometimes it is about standing quietly beside those in pain and telling them their fight is valid. Sometimes it is about using your platform to amplify others rather than yourself. For the Sussex squad and supporters around the world, this moment reinforces why so many people continue to stand with Harry and Meghan. They consistently align themselves with vulnerable communities. They are willing to challenge powerful entities. They frame issues through the lens of human dignity. At its core, this is about children. About ensuring that innovation does not outpace protection. About recognizing that behind every statistic is a name, a face, a family forever changed. None of these parents should be here. But because they are brave enough to speak, because advocates like Harry and Meghan are willing to stand beside them, there is a real possibility that change could emerge from tragedy. Truth, justice, accountability. Those are not just words spoken in a video clip. They are goals that require persistence, courage, and collective will. And if this truly is a David versus Goliath moment, history has shown us that Davids can win when truth is on their side.